And thank you for checking in to the Neutral Zone Hotel, an unapologetically left-leaning podcast exploring hockey at its best and worst. My name is SJ, my pronouns are they, them, and I'm so pleased to welcome you to the Neutral Zone Hotel. Here to ensure your stay is a memorable one is my colleague Trevor.
What's up? Hi, it's Trevor. My pronouns are he, him, the hometown Vancouver Canucks fan. And yeah, it's a bit of an I-5 rivalry going on here.
Yes, rivalry.
Or I-5-alry?
That's what's I-5. Oh.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it work.
When the Canucks and the Kraken play in the playoffs ever, if that ever happens.
Oh, it will.
Maybe we can make I-5-alry happen, but press X for doubt.
The players kind of are trying. What was it? After the last time the teams played each other, I heard a very fun stat on the broadcast about how the Seattle Kraken, if you'd taken all their games against other teams, the second highest amount of fights they'd gotten against another team was 5. And against the Canucks, they've gotten into 9. So
I think there's a certain element of they just play each other all the time because they're in the same division.
You'd think that, but they only played each other, I think, 3 times last year.
Is it? I have another theory. Are the Canucks just a bunch of thugs?
Possibly, but at the same time, it's usually the Kraken starting it.
We do have some certified shitsters on the Kraken.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like the players are trying to kind of get into it because they know, like, the fans are hopefully going to get into it, especially because there's probably going to be a lot of traveling once they want to put on a good show for the travelers. I mean, that's the hope anyway, but...
Yeah. All right. So I wanted to start off this week by acknowledging the fact that this episode is actually scheduled to release on the real Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving. And
okay.
I honestly only said that because you're Canadian and it's funny, but yes, it is. We are scheduled to release on American Thanksgiving.
It does remind me of a very good quote from a TSN Sports Center once. Talking about how there was no NHL games on American Thanksgiving, or as we Canadians like to call it, Thursday.
Yes, Thursday. It is a bleak Thursday that we give all of the NHL players time off to spend time with their families.
What a concept!
I don't know. I'm very skeptical as to the wisdom of that.
It's overrated.
Totally. We should definitely also make all of those people work at the arenas and all of the training staff and equipment people and the coaches back to the grind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's fine. It's good. I think that we have like a big day on Friday, though. I think there are a ton of games on Friday.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately for those NHL players, they can't exactly like totally like load up into turkey coma if they're going to play the next day.
That explains why the Canucks have to play at noon on Friday.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It's kind of all day hockey.
Yeah.
Yep. I think games start at 10 a.m. Our time, Pacific time.
You know, the proper time.
The proper time, yeah. Best Coast, West Coast.
That's right.
Okay, so in the spirit of Thanksgiving, what are you thankful for this year, Trevor?
Oh man,
let's take a moment to reflect.
There's actually a lot I can be thankful for, and I'm gonna start first and foremost. I was very thankful this year for Hockey Week in Canada, where I got to hang out with our friend Benjamin for a total of, I believe, I was there for 8 days. We
rocks.
went, and within a span of 7, we saw 6 games. We covered 5 leagues. I think it was in like 4 buildings in 3 different cities. Well,
Awesome.
no, I think it was. Oh yeah, it was 3 different cities. The list can go on, but it was just a great experience to hang out with Benjamin and not even just talk hockey. Like, we played a lot of Magic. I got to meet a lot of his friends who are all excellent. If any of them are ever listening, you all are great, and I hope I get to see you again one day. Um, but yeah, and just getting to experience all sorts of different hockey and hockey that I never thought I would get to, like getting to see the OHL a lot. Like, yeah, I've got the WHL, but I got to see the OHL. I got to see the Q. I got to see the PWHL. AHL I've seen before, but it's still fun. It's also very interesting hearing a stadium in French. And let me tell you, Quebecers know how to throw a hockey game properly.
Rock on.
Yeah.
I'm doing Hockey Week in Canada with Benjamin in like late February, March.
So,
and
basically the same time I did then.
Yeah, so I'm so excited because I am going to get to go to a Habs game.
Dang, you guys hit the big one. Oh man, I'm sure he's stoked about it too.
It's funny because they're playing the Sharks, I believe. Ooh. So they should be like, maybe it'll even be competitive.
Well,
although since Matt
good.
Celebrity came back, the Sharks have been really good. So they might get killed. But I tell you what I'm really looking forward to. I'm going to try those dang hot dogs. I am a very like food driven person, and I have heard so many things about the hot dogs at the Habs Arena, which I know the name of, and it is absolutely escaping my Bell Center. Yes. Jesus. Yeah, it was like I was like tip of my tongue. Yeah. I have heard so much about those dang hot dogs, and I am really excited to try them.
Mm-hmm.
I am also really looking forward to getting poutine. Since I didn't get them, I didn't get it when I was in Vancouver.
To be fair, Vancouver poutine would be fine, but it wouldn't be authentic. You are getting it from the authentic place if you're getting it in Montreal. Hell, there's even in like out in Ottawa there's some really good ones. Yeah.
So I'm just like, I'm all about eating food. And I hope it's everything that I hope it could be. Also, we're going to like 8 games.
Holy smokes! How long are you going to be? That sounds like you're going to be there for like a week and a half.
It's 8 days.
Are you doing a game a day?
Basically, I think there might be one day where we don't have a game, but there are a couple of days where we scheduled 2.
Oh my god, you guys actually did doubleheader. Oh, that's gonna be so cool.
Yeah, like when I'm like absolutely exhausted and like completely overstimulated by the end of that. So we'll see.
It's funny you say that though, because I thought I might be sick of hockey by the time I was done that trip. And you want to know what I did instead?
Did you come home and watch more hockey?
No, I bought in-flight Wi-Fi so I could watch the Canucks and Bruins on my flight home.
You sicko.
That's right.
Delightful. So that's cool. That's what you're thankful for this year. I love it.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there are a couple other things, but that was for sure the big one.
Cool. I want to say that I'm really thankful for this podcast and the community we have around it. And yeah, just like all of the folks on hockey discords and who have been really welcoming as I have gotten into hockey. So I just wanted to say thank you to everyone for that. It is a good community. There's every community has its bad spots, but I think that overall it's good, and what we're trying to build with this podcast is really good too.
Yeah. And I can second that too. We are thankful to each and every single one of you who listens. Thank you for continuing to give us the drive and motivation to do this. And
Hmm.
like when you chat with us on Discord, it's always fun, especially when we see your comments and reactions to our stuff. Like last week when we had our fun game, Who They Pay For, seeing a lot of, or yeah, seeing some people post their guesses as well was very cool. So thank you for that. Um,
Yeah, that was awesome.
and that's another thing I'm thankful for is that my girlfriend is willing to give hockey a chance and has let me take her to multiple hockey games. So far,
Yeah.
I don't think she's gone out of her way to watch anything, but she's been a very willing participant. So we'll take that.
Excellent. 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 The final thing I am grateful for is today I received in the mail my Coachella Valley Firebirds Thanksgiving gravy boat,
Heck
Zamboni gravy
yes.
boat. So if you go to the Discord, you can see a picture of it. I might post a picture on the Blue Sky as well. It is now one of my most prized possessions. So we're definitely going to use
Yeah.
it on Thanksgiving.
Excellent. Yeah, I saw the photo you posted and it rules.
It does.
It's so cool. I'm so excited. Take like a slow video of you just like slowly pouring the gravy out of it over your turkey and your potatoes.
I'll give it a shot.
Well, you're going to mix two of your passions together. You're going to mix hockey and food.
That's right. That's true. It is a match made in heaven. All right, cool. Well, so before we get into the rest of the show, I just wanted to ask our listeners to follow us on Instagram or Blue Sky at Neutral Zone Hotel, all one word, especially if you want to see the picture of my gravy boat. You can also join our Discord at neutralzonehotel.com/Discord to hang out with us. And if you like this episode, please rate us 5 stars on your podcast platform of choice. We're also available on YouTube at Neutral Zone Hotel. Smash the like button, subscribe, leave comments. I will read them eventually. You can also send comments to feedback at neutralzonehotel.com or put them on our Discord. And we're back. Let's talk about the PWHL.
Woo!
So PWHL Season 2 starts on Saturday with a Canadian doubleheader at 2 p.m. Eastern. The Boston Fleet opened the season battling the Toronto Scepters at the Scepters' new home in Coca-Cola Coliseum. This game looks like it's going to be a sellout. It should be absolutely rocking. Look forward to that. I am so excited for the Scepters being in the new, bigger barn this year.
Oh, 100%. If they don't sell that game out like throughout the season, something is wrong or that team is like god awful. There's no reason why that barn should not be full based off of what we saw at Mattamy and like the desire to go there as well as their playoff run.
I think that they're not going to have any trouble filling it up. I'll be very surprised. Then at 5 p.m. Eastern for the late game, we will turn our attention to Montreal as the Ottawa Charge will attempt to disappoint the home fans in the Victoire's new permanent home at Place Belle. As of this record, there are still a couple of tickets available for that game, but I won't be surprised if it's a total sellout by game day. So again, I think the Victoire are going to be at Place Belle as their regular home this year. Again, that should be a hot ticket.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, if you're in Montreal, I hope you're going to those games. Finally, the New York Sirens and Minnesota Frost will open their seasons at 5 p.m. Central in Minnesota on Sunday. And remember that the Frost did take home the Walter Cup last season, so they will be looking to defend their championship.
Finally, that stadium can see a banner raising.
That's really interesting. I wonder if they will put a banner up at Excel.
I mean, they better. What else are they going to get up there? The Wild aren't doing
That's
anything.
true. I hope they do. I hope there's a ceremony.
Yeah,
That would really
for
rock.
sure.
That would rock.
Quick question for you. Do you have any rooting interests in either of these three games?
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like I should root for the Charge, because mostly because Benjamin has convinced me to do so. I do think that I really liked Montreal's branding. I think it's really good.
Hmm.
So it makes it a little bit tempting. I suspect that I will mostly just like kind of take it easy this year and just like watch as many games
Yeah,
as I can and kind of just take it all in.
yeah.
So I'm probably not gonna be too upset one way or another as far as how the games go, but just kind of enjoy
Hmm.
them as neutral.
Yeah. I mean, I for sure have like tiers on which teams I like more than others.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm going to be like you in that I'm not necessarily going to be disappointed, but there are also definitely going to be uh teams that I want to see win more than others for in these three games, for example.
Yeah, fair enough.
This is going to be heresy for me to say, but I'm kind of leaning the Fleet over the Scepters.
Well, I don't blame you for that.
They have one of the nicest uniforms, and as much as I may not like the Boston and its sports teams, at the same time, gotta have some hate for Toronto.
Yeah, fair enough. Absolutely.
I'm also like you, go Charge, but also won't be disappointed if the Victoire pull out that victory.
Yeah.
And go Sirens because Minnesota has burned any and all goodwill they ever had.
I would love to see the Sirens have a real bounce back year. They were
Mhm.
really tragic last year, and they're
That's a
also the
good word
only
choice.
they're the only team to change coaches over the
Hmm.
off season. They also have a new permanent home in Prudential Center, which is the Devils' home rink in Newark. So they are following in the grand tradition of being a New York team that plays in New Jersey.
Hmm.
But it meant stability for the team, and that was really important because it just turns out
Hmm.
there just aren't really rinks in New York. Like there's basically the big rinks, and there wasn't really something that was the right size for the Sirens. Um, and while
One other thing that the Sirens have as well. Sorry to cut you off.
no, go ahead.
Sarah Fillier.
Yes,
We get to see if she gets to make a difference for that team.
I that's a great point. Yep. So New York is coming in with the first overall pick, Sarah Fillier, and unlike NHL draft picks, these are not 18-year-olds. These are
Hmm.
23-year-old, 24-year-old women. They have played a full college career. They are in their prime as hockey players, and they should be, impact players to start. So, first overall pick,
Hmm.
Sarah Fillier for the New York Sirens. Second overall pick, Danielle Serdachny for the Ottawa Charge. Really, really fascinated to see what kind of impact they make on the
Hmm.
ice right out of the gate.
100%. Well said.
Um, so, are there any? Do you have any particular preseason predictions? Who do you like? Who do you like for the championship? And don't worry, we're not holding you to it.
I was gonna say because that's the one thing is a lot of the teams really can be kind of seen as balanced. Like even though we saw New York kind of fall flat last year,
Mm-hmm.
um, you hope that again that Fillier can make a big enough difference. Um, so I feel, and I'm not gonna also lie, I'm not still the most well versed when it comes to women's hockey. I'm learning,
Yeah,
and last year definitely helped.
I'm
So I
in
think
the
if
same
anything, I
boat.
can make more like I feel like this would be more like kind of hot takes. Hot take number one: Minnesota misses the playoffs.
Hmm. I mean,
Maybe that's bitter.
is
Maybe
that
that's bitter grapes,
yeah,
but
maybe that's just wishful thinking, but who knows?
it could be both. It can be both. There's enough parity in this league that it could happen.
There is a ton of parity in this league.
And then probably a safer pick. I think Montreal takes home the Walter Cup this year.
It could be. I would believe it. They do have the best player in the league, and that is always a heavy thumb on the scales. Philippe Poulin, dang good.
Oh, yeah.
So we spent some time in previous episodes talking a bit about the PWHL Takeover Tour, which is the neutral site games. As of this recording, Trevor and I have now secured tickets
we have
to our respective games in Seattle and Vancouver. Friend of the show, Matt, is also going to the Seattle game. So,
oh, is he? Oh, I'm so excited for you.
Yep. So he doesn't have time to hang out or anything, but we're gonna meet up at the arena and say hi.
Yeah.
So
good enough.
Looking forward to that. It should be really fun.
Oh yeah, 100%. Especially too, because you're doing Hockey Week in Canada, and I'm assuming there's gonna be at least 1 or 2 PWHL games in here.
Yep.
But you get your first taste of it at home, which I think is almost cooler that you are able that you can say your first PWHL game was in Seattle.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. CPA should put on a great show for them as well. I did the rivalry series game that they played in Seattle a few years ago, and that was a really terrific game, and not just because Team USA won, but the Kraken really did work hard to make that kind of an event. And I anticipate that they will do the same for this game. So I'm really looking forward to going to that game. I sprang for really good seats.
Oh, you too, huh?
Well, and I got absolutely killed on Ticketmaster fees, which are the absolute bane of my existence. But it is what it is.
All right. Out of curiosity, do you mind kind of doxing where your seats are gonna be?
So they're club seats. So it's lower bowl. There's there's the center section, and then there's the two sections on the side. I'm on a just to the side of the center section, but in the aisle seat next to the center. So I like to get aisles if I can.
Yeah. I'm guessing that's behind the benches.
I don't remember if I did behind the benches or behind the penalty boxes, but and it's halfway up. So it's not glass or anything. I like to be above the glass line. That's my preference, and sort of close into the
understandable.
Summer.
Yeah. The first time I took the lady friend to a hockey game, we went to an Abbotsford Canucks game, and I did third row up behind the glass, which is great for me because I've got the height advantage, but not so much for other people. I also will admit, I evilly cackled a few times because, again, this is our first experience. So when a shot would go off the glass or when guys would get hit into the glass in front of us, she would jump every time, and I'm just like, oh yeah, this is how you can tell I'm jaded. Yeah. This is how you can tell I'm used to this. But so I know exactly where mine are. Mine are potentially similar to yours. I am in section 106 for Rogers Arena, which is right behind the penalty box.
Okay.
I am row 7, so I'm a few rows up as well. But yeah, I'm basically gonna be right behind or right beside where the penalty boxes would be.
Cool.
Very excited considering I know you said you got slammed by fees. And if you are willing to discuss or talk about it, I'm curious how much you paid for your tickets, because I got no problem talking about how much mine were. To roll back the curtain a bit, do y'all remember a year ago when dear SJ and I met up with our dear friend Jess and went to the Canucks Oilers game about a year or so ago? Each of those tickets, when we were up in the upper bowl in the corner there, that was about $150 a ticket. I paid $10 more for the 2 tickets behind the penalty box.
Oof.
After fees, it was $80 a ticket, and I am through the moon at how basically my goal was, if they're under $100, we're going for it. And when I saw what they were, I almost threw my phone in excitement.
Yeah. So I have a screenshot of my receipt, so I can tell you total for the 2 tickets. I paid a total of $169.07.
Wow. So I paid more than you, and I've also got like the friggin' Canadian deal, like or $8 Canadian. So I'm not necessarily sure how much that might affect here, but also like Canada, you would think would be more like they jack the prices up because they know we'd pay for it. I'm flabbergasted that it was more in Seattle than in Vancouver.
I'm not. So the actual seat, $52.50 for one seat.
Oh,
$15
okay, yeah, I see where this is
club
going.
fee, because that you always get charged if you buy club seats at CPA, extra $15. So per seat, service fee, extra $12, service fee, extra $2, order processing fee, extra $6. So just an absolute ton in fees.
Yep. Yeah.
It's basically a whole nother seat in fees.
Yeah, no kidding. And like for a ticket normally for like a Kraken game in that like in that exact spot, would that be around what they would go for the Kraken, or is it
Oh
more
no,
for
no,
that?
it would be way more for
Okay.
Kraken. Way
Okay.
more.
So it's okay, and so in that sense, it is still kind of in line because like the ticket I bought for the Canucks would probably be like $500 to $600 easily.
Yeah, I mean, if you were, I'm sure you can get cheaper tickets. I know you can get cheaper tickets for the Kraken if you are buying, if you're buying resale tickets like on the day of, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you're just trying to like scope a deal. But if you buy directly, I know one of the like kind of the cheaper ways to buy tickets for the Kraken is to buy like a 6-game package or whatever. And then you don't have any control over the games you get. But those tickets, and you get like really lousy seats, but they're like, it's like $60 a seat for face value on the ticket, for like a crappy seat in the upper bowl.
Yeah.
And so I don't really like, I did that last year. I decided not to do that again this year. But yeah, the Kraken are still like, they're still technically selling out the barn. They are selling all their seats. If you like actually look at like, do they have butts in those seats? No.
Yeah.
They're not. Like, there are definitely season ticket holders who just don't show up and they're not moving their seats on resale. There's not enough reseller demand. So yeah, but Kraken tickets are still really expensive. So although I know there are people who have this like figured out where like the right Facebook groups to go to and stuff where they can basically get free tickets to stuff, but like it requires a level of research and dedication that I just don't have in me.
And also Facebook.
Yeah, and also like Facebook and knowing who the groups are and
yeah, no thanks.
Yeah, I just go to Silvertips games, which are
exactly,
and I pay
right?
like $16 a seat for those, and that's like it. I'm paying more money for the to be honest, I am paying way more money for the bag of like tiny donuts that I get at the rink every game.
I mean, let's be honest, those tiny donuts are incredible.
They make them right in front of you. They're so hot. I can't stop myself. I just eat them over and over again.
Sorry, there is one other thing I forgot too. So tickets went on sale on Friday. I got a pre-sale code, so I actually got mine on Thursday, which is how I was able to get such a good seat. If I remember correctly, it was either by Saturday or Sunday. Vancouver sold out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so like all 18.8 thousand.
Wow.
Which is
That's
I know,
wild.
I'm so excited for that sense.
I wonder, I haven't checked to see if Seattle has sold out. It probably hasn't. I would hazard that it hasn't, but I have not checked. I also bought early. I didn't yet. By the time I got to it, the 7 a.m. presale had sold out, but I was able to get another code and I got in on the 9 a.m. presale.
Oh, nice.
So
sweet.
They were basically just releasing blocks of seats.
Yeah.
So you couldn't like, they didn't want everybody to like buy all the seats available at 7 a.m., which I'm grateful for because I was not going to get out of bed that early.
Yeah, it was a benefit for me considering I wake up at the ass crack of dawn for work, so I was already up at that point when I got the message saying, "Hey, this is the pre-sale code," and then flipped my lid about it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, me and the lady friend will be going because another great way to introduce her to hockey is be like, "Hey, here's all these other women that you can support." And to that point, so the game we're seeing, as we talked about last week, is Montreal at Toronto. So I think she might be actually leaning towards Toronto because she's become a fan of Emma Malte because she found her on TikTok sometime last season.
Rock on.
Yeah. Needless to say, we will be having differing opinions because I will be hardcore Montreal that game.
Get her some Scepters gear for Christmas.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah, especially now that they got the new shop up. They got all the things. I was actually on the shop recently looking for jerseys because I was very tempted to pick up a Marie Philippe Poulin jersey.
I was gonna look at when they come to town. They're gonna be selling merch. I was gonna check out like what the jersey, if they
100%.
Yeah, maybe get a jersey or something then. But yeah, there's some nice. They've significantly expanded their merchandise offerings this year, and they've got all of the new branding out. So they have some really nice t-shirts and hats and decorative and like pucks and all the jerseys and the sweatshirts and so on. There's some of the clothing line, some of the people they've partnered with to make the clothing lines have more inclusive sizing than others. So like if you need like a double XL or a triple XL, like they're not available. It might not be available in every style, which is irritating. But try a different brand that they've partnered with and they might have something. So yeah, I think inclusive sizing is still something they're kind of struggling with. The jerseys are not available in double XL, I think.
From what I saw, they were available in 2XL.
2XL, but not bigger than that. I think that might be the max.
Not bigger than that.
Which is...
I think it was from small to 2XL.
Yeah.
Which...
Yeah, they need to do better.
Yeah.
IMO. Like people do not max out at whatever their arbitrary definition of 2XL is. So yeah. Anyway, that's small, but I think a significant gripe.
100%. I agree. Regardless, very excited for January. I'm sure you're going to hear us talking all about it when that comes up, considering, your game. Oh, people are going to get 2 episodes worth out of it because yours is going to be on a Sunday. So if we record on the Tuesday, we'll get to hear all about yours, whereas mine's going to be after that recording. Unless we want to do an emergency record, but I'm not going to make y'all do that.
Nah, I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, it's actually going to be kind of nice because it's a matinee game on a Sunday. So we'll get out of bed, we'll mosey down to the rink, watch the game, and be back in plenty of time to still like chill out for the evening. So
yeah,
I kind of
spend a nice cozy Sunday.
That's right, absolutely. Bringing in the new year.
Yeah. Whereas I unfortunately am not as lucky. I am the only weekday, well, like non-Friday weekday game because I get a primetime Wednesday. But so I might be a little dead tired on Thursday, but it's gonna be worth it.
That's right. It's all worth it.
Amen.
All right. Anything else? Right. Anything else to say about the PWHL, or should we talk about your mystery segment?
We will do the mystery segment. So I'm gonna give a word of warning in advance. This is gonna be a bit of a downer topic, which is unfortunate because we've had a lot of fun. This came up a couple of weeks ago, and I find it very relevant because as we record right now, the Vancouver Canucks are playing the Boston Bruins.
Okay.
It's also very fun that Jake DeBrusk scored in his return to Boston. So
yeah, well, that's inevitable.
Oh yeah,
the revenge
and
goal.
I'm sure we love to see it when it happens for us. So in that spirit, I thought to go back to a Vancouver and Boston moment. No, we're not going back to 2011. We're going to go to a different one. And the reason this has come up is because a certain individual involved in this moment was on Vancouver radio a couple weeks ago, and there's been a lot of flack for it. So we're gonna go back to February 21st of the year 2000.
Okay.
Some of you might know where I'm going with this, but
I have zero
to set
idea
the
where
scene,
you're going with this.
Yeah. It is General Motors Place. It is Vancouver. Boston is currently losing 5-2 with about 20 seconds left. And Marty McSorley does the thing that he's become probably the most known for, which is unfortunate because the man's got a decent list of things. Like, he could be known as the guy who was the primary assist on Gretzky's 800-second goal. Like, 2-on-1, he's the one who passes it over to Gretzky, sets it up so that Gretzky pots 802 and becomes the all-time goal-scoring leader. But instead, he's known for something else. And SJ, I'm going to send you a link right now.
Okay.
We'll watch for about like the first 45 seconds or so. If you want to stop it early, that's completely fine. But instead, this is what he's known for. So let me know when you've got it up.
I've got it up. Do I hit start?
All right. 3, 2, 1, start.
Okay. What? Oh, I need a replay. What on earth? Oh man, he looks really hurt. What did he say his name was? McShear? Oh, Brashear.
Donald Brashear. Yeah.
Oh.
So if you need to rewind, go ahead.
Oh my gosh, the goalie just went after him.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
For reference, that is future New York Islanders GM for life, Garth Snow, who comes flying in right there.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, we can probably stop right there. I can kind of just, so there's another replay about what happens about 2 minutes in if you want to skip forward then.
Okay,
like 157.
Let me skip forward to 157, because I always need to see a replay on these hits.
Yeah.
Every single time. Okay, here it comes. There he is. Here comes McSorley. Oh my God!
There it is. This is the instant where Marty McSorley goes to and slashes Donald Brashear in the head, causes Brashear's helmet to pop off as he falls backwards, smashes his head on the ice, full unconscious, stretcher and everything. This was the situation that led to, at the time, the longest suspension in NHL history. McSorley got 23 games, for aka the rest of the year, which then upgraded to a full year.
Wow.
And you could even say was a suspension for life because he never played another NHL game after that.
Deserved.
And the reason I bring this up is because Marty McSorley was in Vancouver a couple weeks ago for a event for the WHL Vancouver Giants.
Okay.
And he was put on Vancouver radio on Halford and Brough in the morning for an interview, which quickly devolved into talking about said incident. And the reason I want to bring this up, Marty McSorley takes no blame for this incident at all.
What? Are you kidding me?
No. When asked about it, he talks about, and here's some direct quotes. Quote, "I'm put on the ice with 22 seconds left to make Donald Brashear fight me. That's my job." He blames his coach, Pat Burns, for putting him in that situation. He blames Brashear for not fighting him. He blames coach Mark Crawford for doing that. As he says, Crawford turned over to us and smiled from the bench. And one more quote as well. "I had the puck behind the net, and I'm holding the puck. Donald Brashear comes in front of our net, smiles and turns and starts skating the other way. Just leave him be." So it should be pointed out, I believe the reason he went after him is because of an incident that ended with Boston's goalie being injured and then out for the rest of the season. However, McSorley and Brashear had already fought in that first period. And as well, McSorley would later take a cross-checking minor and a roughing minor on the same play, which then led to a 10-minute misconduct.
Okay.
Evidently, it was not enough to satisfy everything. SJ, you then saw what happened.
I did.
This led to one of the first court cases involving the NHL in, at the time, 12 years. The last one was in 88, where Marty McSorley was found guilty of assault with a weapon. For good reason, if you ask me. But here's another thing. When McSorley is asked about it, he tries to defend himself. The quote, "If you watch it, the stick hit him on the shoulder. You can see the shoulder begin to gather up. The part that hit him in the cheek was 1.5 feet up from the blade. I didn't come up from over the top. I came up from my waist to whack him in the body."
What? I mean, I just watched it and no.
No, that's a pretty decent, like, at least horizontally, if not a bit, like, I don't know, how would you describe that? Like a 4 o'clock slant downwards? Shocker of all shockers, Donald Brashear was concussed.
Yeah.
The miraculous part, or miraculous, because again, this is the early 2000s.
Square in the temple.
Mm-hmm. And again, you could argue that part of the reason it was such a severe injury was because his head hit the ice. Blah, 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 blah. It's the Steve Moore stuff all over again. And trust me, as someone who watched the Steve Moore incident and has cheered for the team that caused that, I get it. But the crazy thing is Donald Brashear returned a month and a half later. 44 days to be exact.
That is a long time.
Knowing how... Well, especially for the early 2000s, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, for a concussion like that, nowadays, you maybe expect him to be out for half a year, if not a full year. Like, we look at what happened with Sidney Crosby about 10 years ago. He missed almost a full season due to concussions. But yeah, Donald Brashear, back after that. McSorley, as we said, never played another game. And to that point... Like, that was a very dark period for the league in that sense. Because, again, that was the longest suspension, which then only got broken 4 years later. And the reason I want to bring this up is, A, I'm pissed off still about it. And after hearing that interview, like, I knew I was going to go into it feeling angry about it. And afterwards, too, it's asinine to me that a 61-year-old man, after 24 years, almost 25, has the gall to look at that situation and blame his own coach, blame the opposing coach, blame the other player, basically blame every single other person except for himself for his own action at the time.
Yeah.
And all because he couldn't get a fight that he had already gotten earlier in that game.
There's a lot of like deeply entrenched entitlement and like, you know, privilege there. Yeah.
It harkens back to a conversation we had last season when Benjamin talked about the code.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like this actually might have come up during that conversation at that point. But another thing, though, and there's something to kind of take heart from it, is just how much player safety has improved.
Yeah.
And that we don't ever really see these kinds of situations anymore. Thankfully, players have gotten smarter about it. Just a lot of more awareness, because Donald Brashear also, he's had his own issues. There are a couple great stories about his story on The Athletic that covered a lot of his hardships and his regrowth, because he became notorious a handful of years ago for being seen working at a Tim Hortons, because that's where his quality of life had kind of deteriorated to, where he was bankrupt. He needed to make money somehow.
Yeah.
You know, he fell into drug use, and had no way, really, you know, lost all of his money through that, lost a lot of his family and whatnot.
Yeah, there have been significant strides at the PA level as well to help players become like financially stable throughout their lives in their kind of their post NHL career, which is like heartening.
Yeah. But and yeah, so it's just nice to see that where the game has become And I know it's kind of hard to talk about that when, we still see headshots being prominent. Like we saw the one on Besser a few weeks ago. Speaking of, he has made his return and he is playing tonight, which is really cool to see.
Yeah, I thought it was really interesting. The Reeves hit on Darnell Nurse, which is the other prominent headshot. I'd go so. I think there were like 4. I can think of 4 headshot incidents that occurred in the past couple of weeks. But with the Ryan Reeves one, he got a 5-game suspension, which is kind of the soft cap for suspensions right now. It's the max you can give out with a phone hearing, and the PA has been appealing any suspension over 5 kind of by policy lately. Yeah. So they've kind of got player safety is kind of like basically giving out a lot of 5-game suspensions of late. But I thought that was interesting because I think it's the only suspension I can think of that was longer than the player who got hurt was out.
Oh, that's a good point.
And I was like, interesting.
Yeah.
The other couple. So there was the Besser and there was the hit on Brock Besser by Tanner Jeannot. There was Ryan Reeves on Darnell Nurse. The third one, which was not even a penalty, but player safety went so far as to put out a video explaining why it wasn't a penalty, was Zach Whitecloud on Matthew Knies. And that was really that was a really interesting it was really interesting to me that they made that choice, because player safety does not typically make why we didn't suspend someone videos. But they were getting quite a lot of heat in Toronto over that hit. And I watched that hit in real time. I thought that it was legal at the time, or at least not even a 5. And I was like, well, I don't know, maybe it's a 2 or something. But like, there was so much comparison between us, even on the broadcast, on the Canadian broadcast, which I happened to be watching, between that hit and the hit on Darnell Nurse. And I thought that was the broadcast doing a real disservice to their fans, because those were not equivalent hits, not remotely equivalent hits. So I kind of understand why, like, at the end of the day, the player safety wanted to like make some strides, is like explaining to the fan base like what to look for, what they look for, and why, and understand that like there are hits, and this is probably always going to be the case with a league where body checking is allowed, that will be both perfectly legal and have very unfortunate outcomes. We saw a hit like that just last night when Ty Cartier hit Leo Carlson in the Kraken Ducks game. It didn't hit there was no head contact, but he body checked him, and Leo Carlson hit the goal. He hit the goalpost, and he went down, and he stayed down. And it was a very unfortunate outcome. Like, it was a completely legal hit. Certainly, there was no intent to injure on that hit. If he had been, the positioning was just such that he hit the goal. And he got hurt.
It's one of those cases where it's unfortunate that it happened, but like, at that point, what can you do aside from maybe not hit the guy?
And you gotta. I don't know. It's so like the way body checking like works in the league, and just like sometimes like just really bad things happen. Like, it's something I really struggle with watching hockey. It's one of the reasons I hate hip checks. Hip checks are so rare. They're so rare now, and they're very dramatic. And the crowds love them because these guys, they go flying through the air. They will flip end over end. And every time I'm like, okay, maybe that's a legal hit, but maybe it shouldn't be. Because, oh my God.
I mean, there have been steps to take that out there. And yeah, to that point, like, a perfectly executed hip check looks awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very good way to injure not only the player getting hit, but even the guy doing the hit. Famously, to do another Vancouver-Boston thing, when Dan Hamhuis laid a hip check, like a perfectly legal, perfectly fine hip check in the final, he actually hurt himself because of, you know, how you kind of bend over. I believe he popped something in his leg.
Ooh. Ouch.
But, and to that point too, talking about body checks and, like, you know, the spectacle of them, but also, like, do we cheer for this? It's a really good comparison of, like, your rational self being like, why am I cheering for this archaic behavior? But then you see one and, you know, cave person brain take over, like, ooh, hit boy, yeah, rah, crash,
Yeah.
Smash, you know.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of comparison to fighting in the league. I mean, I have a lot less objection to body checking than I do to fighting, which I think is entirely unnecessary. But yeah, it's sometimes I really struggle with, like, how much of this do we really need? And how much do we need before it's not really, like, the same sport anymore?
Well, to that argument, though, you could argue already that we're getting to that point because, again, you look at what happened 20 some odd years ago.
Mm-hmm.
You see that incident and also just how the game was then to now. It's a completely different sport. And in almost every single way, it's for the better.
Yeah, quite possibly.
There's a lot of hope and a lot of that we're continuing to progress into the right direction while still maintaining the entertainment that makes hockey great.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason that we love this sport.
Yeah, and
despite
I'm not advocating taking body checking out of the sport. That's not what I'm saying. But I do love the sport. And I just wonder, like, where is the right way to draw those very blurry lines?
Mm-hmm. But no matter what, we are at least living in a time where guys aren't basically taking a stick like a baseball bat and whacking guys, whether it was in the body like it's meant to be or accidentally into the head, just to pick a fight.
I mean, not usually.
Yeah,
sometimes
not usually. At least
sometimes we get real close, but not usually. And at least we know when people do, there will be a significant suspension involved.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, again, just because I heard that being on the news and as well with Vancouver playing Boston, and it made me think of that. So
yeah,
I
totally
did want to bring that up. And in a way, too, just kind of show you some of the history of our game. Because one of my favorite episodes that I was not a part of is the one where Benjamin showed you a whole lot of YouTube clips of old-time hockey.
Oh, that was a great episode. We should do that again.
As soon as I heard that he was showing you the Trevor Linden hit on Jeff Norton, I was giddily excited. Like, I was driving to work, and it's like 3:30 in the morning, and all of a sudden I'm like wide awake, like gripping my steering wheel, just like, ooh, I can't wait! I'm so excited. For reference, I was 3 years old when that hit happened. I can still see it clearly in my head because I've seen it so many times.
Wow. What a delight.
The reactions of you and then Benjamin's reaction to you it made my day at 4 a.m.
Excellent. I'm so glad to hear that.
We definitely should get one set up again because, Benjamin showed you some clips. Maybe it's my turn to find some for you, or maybe it'll be Alex's turn. We'll find someone to do it for you.
Absolutely. It can be a yearly tradition or whenever we want to do it. There's no rules. This is our podcast. We can do what we want.
That's right.
All right. Are you ready to get out of here and get on with your evening?
Yeah, because Canucks and Bruins are going to the third period, so it's time to actually put some volume on for that.
All right, let's go watch some hockey.
And then also eat some food.
All right.
Let's watch some hockey.
All right, friends, you've been listening to the Neutral Zone Hotel, which is written, hosted, and produced by the Neutral Zone Hotel crew. Find out more at neutralzonehotel.com. Big thanks to Emily Mowbray for designing our fabulous logo. You can follow us on Instagram or Blue Sky at Neutral Zone Hotel or email us at feedback@neutralzonehotel.com. Thank you so much for joining